Welcome to CSS Borders, Corners, and Shadows. My name is Cherish Moore, and this is the BYUI CIT 230 class. First, we're going to start with borders, and there are three properties that we're going to work with: style, width, and color. First, style tells you what kind of border displays, and use the border style property. Examples are solid, dotted, dashed, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, none, hidden, and a mix. Next is width. It tells you how thick or thin the border is, and sizes can be put in these values or using the values thin, medium, or thick. Use the border width property. Some examples, if you were to enter 5px, all four sides of your borders would be affected. The same with thin, medium, or thick. And if you were to enter 5px, 10px, 15px, 20px, that would affect it the same way it does margins and padding with the top, right, bottom, and left borders. Color sets the color of the borders. Use the border color property. You can enter it in as the name of the color, red, orange, blue, or you could enter in a hex number or an RGB value, or put it in as transparent. Some things to remember: unless you have the style set, none of the other properties will show. So the width and the color won't do anything until you have a style set. And remember, when adding multiple values, it always goes in that same order: top, right, bottom, and left. There's a shorthand for border. You just simply enter border, width, style, and color. For example, border 2px solid blue. For corners, use the border radius property, and it defines the radius of the element's borders. It's pretty simple. We'll take a look at all of these examples in just a second. Shadows, we're going to do text shadows and box shadows. The text shadow adds shadow to the text using the text shadow property. Simple shadow is just like a double vision. Colored shadow, blurred shadow, glow, and a multicolored shadow. And the box shadow adds shadow to elements using the box shadow property. So let's go in and take a look at how these look. So here I have a simple paragraph and a title. The first thing we're going to do is go into the border style, and we're just going to do a solid to start with, and we're going to make it 2px, and we're going to give it the same color as everything else on the page. And it creates a 2px width border around the element. Here we can play around with the styles. We can try a dashed line. It'll apply all the way around. We can try a double. And you can't really see it, so we'll make it a little bit bigger. You can see it there. You can add multiple values to this, and it will make all the sides different. You can change the size to whatever you need it to be. Really, this just depends on the design that you're looking for. So we're going to take this back to a solid. Here you can play around with the different sizes of the border. You can have different sizes on each side if you need to. It's an example of the top, right, bottom, and left values. And we can also play with the color here. If you hover over top of the color, it will bring up the color themes. You can change it to whatever you want. You can also click up here and it will give you the RGB value if you'd rather put it in that way. And that changes the color of the border. You can also change so that each border is different if you need to. I'm going to change it back to the original color. So there are many different combinations you can do with the style, the width, and the color. I'm also going to show you how to do the shorthand. You type in border, do 5px solid, and then the color that we want. And it will look exactly the same. So next we're going to do the corners. For that, you simply enter in a value, and it makes the corners rounded. And you can do any value here that you like, depends on what you're looking for. You can also apply it to the different corners, and instead of top, right, bottom, left, it's top left, top right, bottom left. So if we wanted to keep the left one at a sharp corner and the bottom right one at a sharp corner, we would enter it that way. If we wanted the top right and the bottom right rounded and leave the two on the left, you could do that. So depending on what your design is, you can change this to look however you want. We're going to leave it at 25px for now. So next we're going to talk about the text shadow. And up here in my title, I have a text shadow. I'm going to put in a value of 2px, and apply that. And you'll see that it creates a shadow over here. It's hard to see because they're the same color. That's just the simple shadow. If I add a color to it, it's a lot easier to see. You can see how it creates a shadow. And if I wanted to make a blur, I would add in a third value here. I'm going to add in 5px. And you'll see that now it's a blurred value or a blurred effect. Now, the glow is if you take out these values and just enter 0 for those, and it creates a glow all around the text. To do a multi, we're going to change the color up here to white. And you separate these by a comma. So you just add in another value, make the blur a bit bigger, and change in a different color. Now you can see there's an orange and a green glow around. That's the multicolor. Now we're going to apply a box shadow to our element here, this paragraph. We put in the value, same as a text shadow. And there creates a hard shadow back here. You can see that. Let's make this border a bit smaller. You can see it a little bit better. We'll make our shadow a little bit bigger too. You can also make it with a blur. If you add in a third value here. And it creates a blur. And if you wanted to do the glow with the shadow all the way around the element, the same as the text, you take out these other values and enter in 0 for that. And when we talked about the color being transparent, you can enter in that value here. And it kind of makes this little box look like it's standing off the page with a shadow all the way around it. So that is my presentation on CSS borders, corners, and shadows. I encourage you to play around with it and become familiar with it. There's lots of different things you can do, lots of different effects that you can create to make your web page look better and to get the design that you're looking for. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any. Thank you.